electricity were out, so we could not do the class. Okay, we will make it up gradually. Your CSCA section. Okay, let us see. Can you see one slide on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If some people are sleepy, please wake up and read the passage. So there is a slide on the screen. Please read it.
এটাকে রোটেট করা যায় না স্যার
Uh, it is in vertical position, right? I cannot do it. Maybe there is a way, but I don't know. I am trying, but I cannot. But is it visible? If it is visible, please read. কষ্ট করে পড়ো। Martin Baker is a bus driver. He lives in a small town with his wife and 4 children. His wife's father, Mr. Butcher, lives with them too. He is too old to do any work. He sits in his chair by the fireside all day. But in summer, when it is warm enough to sit outside, he sometimes takes his chair into the garden. Mr. Baker has been very ill for over a month. He has been too ill to go to work. He cannot go to work yet. He is not well enough to go to work. He is still too weak to drive his bus. Martin's eldest son is 25. He teaches in a village school. He lives in the village because it takes too long to travel there every day from his father's house. The other children are not yet old enough to go out to work. They still go to school, except for the youngest daughter. She is only 4.5. She is still too young to go to school. One of the purposes of this passage is to teach you the word too. Too old to go, too hot to drink. You read it in class 8, 7. Anyway, it has other purposes. Now look at the questions given on the right-hand side of the paper and try to answer the questions correctly. And you need intensive reading. For answering this question, you need to read the passage intensively. Okay, answer the first question. How many people live in Mr. Baker's house in the small town? Answer the question. Anyone? Yes, are you counting?
with his wife and 4 children sir.
Give me a sentence. How many people live in Mr. Baker's house in the small town? Answer in a
Six
sentence.
people.
Make the sentence, not only the number. You don't know how to make sentence? How many people live in Mr. Baker's house in the small town? Answer in a sentence, not
6 people live in Mr. Baker's house.
then finish the sentence.
In the small town.
Okay, 6 people. Any other have any other opinion? She says 6 people. Yes, my students respond, count the number and make a sentence. Very easy. Farhan, where are you?
Sir, I think it's 7 people live in Mr. Baker's house.
Okay, so you have a different opinion. Okay, so first student says 6, you are saying 7. Any other opinion? Other students, please count and confirm which one is correct, 6 or 7.
7 people.
7. So another vote has been found in favor of 7. You see, it's very small paragraph, very small passage, but you have to read it very intensively to find out the answer. So the problem is with counting the children. 4 children live with their parents in the town, and he has another son who lives in the village. So we will not count the son who lives in the village. He will be there. Then 4 children, father, mother, 6 people, and Mr. Baker's father-in-law, Mr. Butcher, 7 people. Clearly 7 people live in Mr. Baker's house in the small town. Yes, everybody? Get the point? Okay.
Yes, sir.
The 7 is the correct number. Some people think that he has 4 children and one lives in the village. No, it doesn't say like this. The passage says 4 children live with their parents in the small town and the eldest son lives in the village. Anyway, so we are confirmed that 7 people live in Mr. Baker's house in the small town. Now, who is Mr. Butcher? Answer quickly. It's very easy. Yes, who is Mr. Butcher?
Mr. Butcher is Martin Baker's wife's father.
Okay. Any other answer in a different way?
Sir, Mr. Butcher is Martin Baker's father-in-law.
Yes, this is another way. This is, so there are 2 ways of answering these questions, but one is better than the other one. I remember one story when I was a school student. One of my classmates were absent from class for 3 days, and the next day the teacher was asking, "Hi, তুমি 3 দিন স্কুলে আসো নাই কেন?" তো বলছে, "আমি আমার দুলাভাইয়ের ওয়াইফকে নিয়ে গ্রামের বাড়ি গিয়েছিলাম।" তো দুলাভাইয়ের ওয়াইফ কে?
Sister.
দুলাভাইয়ের ওয়াইফ কে হয়?
স্যার আপনার ফ্রেন্ডের
Sir,
বোন।
বোন স্যার নিচে।
নিজের বোন। তো সে নিজের বোন না বলে বলছে দুলাভাইয়ের ওয়াইফকে নিয়ে গ্রামের বাড়ি গিয়েছে। এনিওয়ে, সো এখানেও তুমি যদি বলো যে মিস্টার বেকারস ওয়াইফস ফাদার, এটা অনেকটা ওইরকম হয়ে যাচ্ছে আর কি। সেটা না বলে বলা উচিত Mr. Butcher is Mr. Baker's father-in-law. That will be a good answer, but you will get marks for both of the answers. Number 3. How many children does Mr. Baker have? Now it is clear because we discussed, but tell me in a sentence, how many children does Mr. Baker have? Give me a sentence. Malo,
So Mr. Baker have 5 children.
has or have?
Has.
Right, third person. Mr. Baker is third person.
Yes.
And in the present indefinite tense, has means ache. So Mr. Baker has
5 children.
4 or 5? 4 or 5?
Sir, 5.
5, yes, you're right. So 4 children live with their parents in the town, and the eldest one lives in the village. So there are a total 5 children. Children মানে বোঝায় ছেলে মেয়ে বোঝায়, বড় হোক ছোট হোক। আপনার চিলড্রেন কয়জন? 5 জন 6 জন বলে এরকম। Children doesn't always mean the kids, very small. Anyway, number 4. When does Mr. Butcher sit in the garden? Yeah, quickly answer. When does Mr. Butcher sit in the garden?
Mr. Butcher sits in the garden in summer.
Okay. Sit or sits?
So sits.
Sits, third person, so you need an S. So, okay, it's clear. Mr. Butcher sits in the garden in summer, but not always. This passage is from a British book. So British summer and Bangladeshi summer are not the same. In summer in England, also cold. Some days it is very bright and warm, not very hot. So when it is warm enough, he takes his chair in the garden and sits there. So there's a cultural difference and climatic difference. So it's difficult for us to understand. But the background is this. So if you say only summer, the answer doesn't become complete. So in summer, when it is warm enough, he sits in the garden should be the appropriate answer. Then, how old is Mr. Baker's eldest son?
Mr. Baker's eldest son is 25 years old.
Very good. So Mr. Martin Baker's eldest son is 25 years old. And one thing should be discussed here, that S-O-N pronounces son like S-U-N. S-U-N যেমন son, S-O-N similarly pronounced son. অনেকে son বলে, this is absolutely wrong. So never say son, it is always son. S-O-N son, S-U-N also son. Next. Why does he live in the village? Tell me very quickly.
Sir, he lives in the village because it takes too long to travel there every day from Martin's house.
Now, why does he have to travel?
Because he teaches in a village school.
Yeah, you have to mention that point. That he teaches in a village school, which is far away from his father's house. That's why he lives in the village. Yeah, you have to clarify like this. Next, let's quickly finish. We have another passage. How many of Baker's children go to school? Another tricky question. You need to count. Let's try. Roll number 44. Are you here? Roll number 44.
Yes, sir.
Answer the question. How many of Baker's children go to school?
Four children of bakers go to school.
4 children. Any other answer from any other person?
3.
Yes,
3. So 3. So there are two opinions. One opinion is 4, one is 3. Look at the last paragraph. Last paragraph. He lives in the village. The eldest son lives in the village because it takes too long to travel there every day from his father's house. Now look at the other children are not yet old enough to go out to work. Other children মানে ওই যে উপরে বাবা মার সাথে থাকে 4 children, তারা এখনো কাজে যাওয়ার উপযুক্ত হয়নি। They still go to school. তারা এখনো স্কুলে যায় except for the youngest daughter. একজন মাইনাস করে দিল, except বলে একজন মাইনাস করে দিল। তাহলে কয়জন হলো? 3 জন যায়। She is only 4.5. She is still too young to go to school. সবচেয়ে ছোটটা 4.5 বছর বয়স, এখনো স্কুলে যাওয়ার জন্য অনেক ছোট, সুতরাং সে স্কুলে যায় না। 4 জনের মধ্যে একজন মাইনাস করলে 3 জন। So those who are saying 3 is the correct number. Okay, so you see it's very small article, and to answer these questions you have to calculate, you have to read it critically, you have to read it intensively. So text বই পড়ার সময় এইভাবে পড়তে হবে, otherwise information miss হয়ে যাবে। Okay, well done. This is another reading exercise. It's about Newton. Let me read out and then you try and participate in answering the questions. We don't have much time. Read the passage and ask yourself, what has the author done in this paragraph? Author means writer. Write your answer in the summary box and then think of an appropriate title for the passage based on the main idea of the passage. তারপরে appropriate title একটি জায়গা দেওয়া আছে, ওখানে শিরোনাম দিতে হবে। শিরোনাম is very easy, 2-3 words. And then there are 5 questions you have to answer. Okay. Sir Isaac Newton was contemplating the universe in his garden one day in 1665 when he noticed an apple fall from a tree. Newton wondered to himself, why should the apple always fall to the ground? Why does it not go sideways or upwards but directly toward the Earth's center? After much contemplation, Newton concluded that objects are pulled to the earth through a force that he called gravity, which means heaviness in Latin. Latin language এর মানে হচ্ছে heaviness. On July 5th, 1687, Newton formally expressed his law of universal gravitation in series of books called Principia. Principia is a big book. It has a lot of series. That means part আছে অনেকগুলো, সবগুলো বই একটা নামে আছে। Anyway, now summarize this paragraph in 1 or 2 sentences. এক সেন্টেন্স 2 সেন্টেন্সে বলো প্যারাগ্রাফে কি বলা হয়েছে। Answer 1 sentence or 2 sentences. It should not be always 100% correct. You go on giving your opinions. যখনই কথা বলার সুযোগ আছে কথা বলতে হবে, কথা সবসময় 100% কারেক্ট হবে তা নয়। বলো। This passage discusses ফারহান চুপচাপ কেন, কথা বলো। আদনান কথা বলছো না কেন? অর্ণব কথা বলছো না কেন?
Okay, sir. Then Newton pointed out there is an invisible force called gravity, which was later wrote in a series of books called Principia.
Say again.
Newton identified there is an invisible force called gravity, one sentence. Then he expressed his law of universe in a series of books called Principia.
Yes, you should add that in this passage. In this passage, Newton করেছে. Okay, your idea is okay. Other people, do you have any idea? Any same thing? You can say in other way. Farhan, anything to say? Or do you agree?
Sir, I agree with Adnan.
Okay. Arnab? Arnab, are you sleeping?
And I agree with Adnan.
Okay, so I think majority will agree with him. Now give a title to the passage. Very easy. 2 words, 3 words. ইউনিভার্সাল ল অফ গ্র্যাভিটেশনের আবিষ্কার। ব্যাস হয়ে গেল। কি হবে ইংরেজিতে? বলো। ভেরি ইজি। টাইটেল কিন্তু একটাই হবে না, টাইটেল 10 জনে 10 রকম দিবে, দুটোই সবগুলি কারেক্ট হতে পারে, কাছাকাছি হলেই হলো। তোমার আইএলটিএস টেস্ট বলো, ইউনিভার্সিটি ইংলিশ পরীক্ষা বলো, এরকম একটি প্রশ্ন থাকে, গিভ এ টাইটেল টু দি প্যাসেজ। টাইটেলটা মোটামুটি রিলেটেড হলেই হলো। এটা
The invention of gravitational law.
ওকে, হয়ে গেল। ওকে, তবে ইনভেনশন আর ডিসকভারির মধ্যে তফাৎ আছে, এটা একটু পরে আসছে আলোচনায়। এনিওয়ে, তাহলে গ্র্যাভিটেশনাল ল এর আবিষ্কার, ব্যাস হয়ে গেল, টাইটেল হয়ে গেল, শিরোনাম। Now look at the questions. What does the word contemplating mean? গেস করতে হবে। ইন্টেন্সিভ রিডিং আমরা দেখেছি যে শব্দ গেস করে মোটামুটি ধারণা নিতে হবে। গেসিং সবসময় কারেক্ট নাও হতে পারে, না হলে আমরা ডিকশনারি দেখব। সো গেস করে বলো। প্রথম সেন্টেন্সে ছিল নিউটন ওয়াজ কন্টেম্পলেটিং দ্য ইউনিভার্স ইন হিজ গার্ডেন one day in 1665.
Saying
What
the
is-
word complementing means thinking something.
So you want to say the meaning of contemplation is thinking, right?
Yes, sir.
Anyone? Contemplating means thinking, is it correct? Any other has any other opinion? No, other people are sleeping. So reading the passage, you should guess what the meaning might be. Your guessing is correct. The one who is saying thinking, but it's not normal thinking. Something more than thinking, it is deep thinking. So when you think about something deeply, it becomes contemplation. Okay, so ধ্যান করছিলেন সায়েন্টিস্ট নিউটন, কেন আপেলটা নিচের দিকে পড়ছে, ডানেও যাচ্ছে না, বাঁয়েও যাচ্ছে না, উপরের দিকে যাচ্ছে না, গভীর চিন্তায় মগ্ন ছিলেন। So contemplate is the main word. Contemplation is noun. Contemplating is is present participle. So he was thinking deeply, means he was contemplating. Okay, so, and it has a synonym called meditate, means meditation. So he was meditating. Number two, explain the word gravity. Say in one sentence, very quickly. Gravity.
So gravity is the force that attracts something towards the center of the earth.
Yeah, okay, good. It is in the text also. In the text it said, the force that through which objects are pulled to the earth. Anyway, তুমি যেটা বলছো এটা ঠিক, বই থেকে text থেকে নিলে হতো. Now go on to the next one. How many years ago did Newton declare his law of universal gravitation? Count quickly. You need to calculate. Do it quickly and tell me.
Sir, 333 years ago.
33 or 34 or 35?
Sir, 33.
33. Okay, other people agree? 300.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yesterday in another class, another student was saying 35 years, only 35 years. And I told him, count again, count intensively. Then he found out that it's 330. Anyway, the last question. And what made Newton think about the law of universal gravitation? What made Newton think about the law of gravitation? Give me a sentence, very easy. The falling of apple?
Falling off the apple from his garden made Newton think about the law of universal gravitation.
Yes, the falling of apple to the ground made Newton think about the law of gravitation. এখানে made এর ব্যবহার জানতে হবে, অনেকের কনফিউশন আছে make এর ব্যবহার, made এর ব্যবহার না জানলে আমার কাছে জিজ্ঞেস করে নেবে. The last question. Did Newton discover or invent the law of universal gravitation? Did he invent or did he discover?
Discover.
I think so. Discover.
Discover?
Yes, sir.
Why not invent?
Because sir, it is already from the beginning, but
Okay.
he just discovered it. It's already invented.
Right. Yeah, your idea is correct, but you have to express this clearly. Okay, there are many things in nature, and some scientists just found it out by looking for. After a long time, they find it out, and this is called discovery. And if any scientist created something new which did not exist in the world, is called invention. Like aeroplane did not exist in the world before Wright brothers created this. So this is invention. And oxygen, gravitation, all these things were in nature, and the scientists just found them out. খুঁজে বের করা হলো ডিসকভারি. আমরা বাংলায় দুটোই আবিষ্কার করি, অক্সিজেন আবিষ্কার করেছিলেন, এরোপ্লেন আবিষ্কার করেছিলেন. এটা দুই শব্দ হওয়া উচিত, এক শব্দ হওয়া উচিত না. তো যখনই আমরা বুঝবো যে নতুন কিছু যার অস্তিত্ব ছিল না এমন কিছু বের করেছেন, দ্যাট শুড বি ইনভেনশন. আর যেটা প্রকৃতিতে ছিল খুঁজে বের করেছেন, দ্যাট ইজ ডিসকভারি. সো নিউটন ডিসকভার্ড the law of gravitation, not invented. এটা উনি বানান না, উনি আল্লাহ বানিয়ে রেখেছিলেন আগে থেকে, law of gravitation. Okay, so it's clear, I think, to everybody the difference between invention and discovery. Verb is invent, Verb is invent and discover, and noun is invention and discover. Okay, let us close today. Thank you. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.